You know what? Most innovations in financial modeling solve the wrong problem. They aim to make it easier to play around with assumptions, for example. They solve technical problems instead of overcoming the flaws in methodology. Because what's the point in being able to easily change arbitrary inputs? Getting arbitrary outputs faster? In my workshop today, I will put financial modeling a bit in its context. How does financial modeling fit into decision, support, and risk management? Where is its place and what are the connections to adjacent disciplines? But the main part will be a hands-on demonstration of a model where I'm going to show you step by step how to go from a deterministic approach to a model that reflects the risks and the mechanics of the underlying business much better. And you will see that it makes a huge difference when you properly account for risks instead of blindly ignoring them. I'm Torsten Röhner, and I'm the founder of Seconomic, a boutique consultancy specializing in building decision support and risk analysis models. The strange thing is that I don't use Excel, but develop my models with Analytica, a modeling platform that integrates visual model building, working with multidimensional data, and guess what? A powerful Monte Carlo simulation engine. To promote the use of Analytica for financial modeling, I run a website called Beyond Excel Modeling. Based on Analytica, I recently developed a financial modeling framework, the Seconomic system, that makes it much easier for me as a modeler to concentrate on the business logic and the risk analysis part instead of tinkering with the financial statements and balance the balance sheet. Since it works so well for me, I'm actually thinking about making it available to other modelers. So if you're a financial modeler, risk analyst, or just having nothing better to do, just reach out to me to learn more. I'd love to give you a live presentation of the system. But before we start, let me say a big thank you to Alex for organizing this amazing event again. When he approached me last year, I thought, wow, what a cool idea, running an online conference and bringing together like-minded people from around the globe. So thanks, Alex, for organizing this fascinating, inspiring collection of thought leaders and letting us spread the word of risk management and decision-making for a better world. Great job. So what's the point of financial modeling when ignoring risks? Then what's the point of financial modeling in the first place? Making financial projections? Structuring financial deals? Or is it about making better decisions? Or as David Bendel-Hertz, one of the pioneers of Monte Carlo simulation in finance, used to frame it, what makes capital investment decisions so demanding is not the problem of projecting return on investment under any given set of assumptions. The difficulty is in the assumptions and in their impact. Each assumption involves its own degree, often a high degree of uncertainty. I like to think of financial modeling like this: the so-called business analysis life cycle developed by Professor Tom Grossman of the University of San Francisco. I like it because it puts the discipline of financial modeling in context and is a good picture to remember and explain. So the idea is that you have a certain business situation in the real world, being it a big problem to solve or an important decision to make. To help management gain insights into the situation and help them make better decisions, you build a model. The model is like a sandbox where you can safely play around and experiment without doing much harm until you know what you should do with the real thing. In your model world, you ideally start sketching out a conceptual model as an attempt to understand what a problem is, what decisions to make, what information you need, and how this all fits together and relates to each other. Then you typically fire up Excel and start building the real calculation model. As I said before, this is where financial modelers typically spend the bulk of their time. Only little on conceptualizing and other esoterical stuff, but really heavily on doing spreadsheet wizardry. Once you're done with the model, you can start analyzing model behavior. You're doing sensitivity analyses, scenario planning, or other what-if stuff to test how model outputs change if assumptions differ. I mean, don't get me wrong, playing around with inputs to see how the model behaves is a great way to better understand the model and to test if the model delivers plausible results even for edge cases. I do this all the time while developing the model. But let's be honest, this is the farthest one does typically go. Probabilistic modeling, Monte Carlo simulation, yuck. No one in management would understand if we'd come up with a range of possible results, right? Okay, this might not be always the case, but more often than not, risk and uncertainties are still widely ignored. And that's why we need such initiatives as the Risk Awareness Week. And you know what? Many people still believe that risk analysis and Monte Carlo simulation is too complicated. It's too time-consuming, hard to do, too whatever. And that best guess models are good enough. Since you signed up for this workshop, I'm confident you know better. Let's see. Okay, let's jump right into our sandbox here and start playing around with a simple business model. This model is an example of a project-driven business. You see the business logic laid out here. The drivers of the business are those three things. First, you have a number of bids you do each month. You might win some of them, you might lose some. So the success rate is another driver. And finally, there is the size of the projects you win. All three define how much new project volume you generate each month. Down here, we have the capacity of our business. This defines how much of this stream of new projects we can work off, and finally, how much revenue we can generate given the rate we charge per day. You also see that there is a backlog of project volume. This is when our capacity is not able to comprise with new projects. So the remaining volume is piled up here and maybe worked off the next month when there are fewer new projects. The rest of the model is straightforward. The salary per consultant defines the personal cost, and that's it. The rating result per month is simply summed up to give us the yearly operating result. You should keep in mind that this type of model is not restricted to a consulting business. It could be a construction or a production business where you have an uncertain input of new projects, of new orders, or whatever, and a restricted capacity. But let's stick with our consulting business here. What I've shown you here is an influence diagram of the business logic. This is what I meant by the conceptual model before. With this kind of model representation, you can easily understand how the business is supposed to work, even without knowing any number. Isn't that cool? That allows you not only as a modeler to think more clearly about what you want to model, but also to have better communication with other stakeholders about the structure and the design of the model. Especially when those other persons are not that deep in the technical details.